She'd spent years cleaning floors that would never be hers, in a house where her name was barely remembered. To them, she was invisible, just another maid in a uniform. But one night, under the flicker of the hallway lights, something she found changed everything. A single discovery that exposed more than a family's secret. It revealed the kind of truth that gets buried, silenced, or erased. The next morning, she wasn't at work, and the city started whispering her name. What did she uncover? And why were so many desperate to keep it hidden? Her name was Clara Johnson, and for 8 long years she'd worked in the Whitmore mansion, a house that gleamed with wealth, where chandeliers sparkled like they were proud of themselves. Every morning, Clara arrived before sunrise, moving quietly through marble halls that echoed with other people's laughter. She scrubbed, polished, and made sure everything looked perfect, even when life outside those walls was far from it. To the Whitmores, she was part of the background, polite, invisible, dependable. They never wondered where she went after her shift, or how she managed 2 jobs just to keep her children in school. They didn't see the woman behind the uniform, the one who dreamed of something better, even if she never said it out loud. But lately, Clara had noticed strange things. Whispered conversations when she entered a room, locked drawers that hadn't been locked before, and the uneasy feeling that something inside that perfect house was wrong. She didn't know it yet. But what she was about to find, one quiet night after everyone had gone, would turn her quiet obedience into the center of a storm. It started with a sound, faint, almost forgettable. A drawer shutting, a whisper carried through the vents, and then silence. Clara brushed it off at first. In a house that big, noises came from everywhere. But when she went to dust the study the next morning, something caught her eye. A document left half out on the desk, the edge marked with a faint red fingerprint. She froze. It wasn't hers. The paper looked official. Names, dates, signatures. Her breath caught as she read the words, property transfer and employee compensation. Then she saw it, her own signature forged. According to this, she had voluntarily resigned months ago, forfeiting her pension and any future claims. Her hands trembled. Someone was erasing her. Quietly, legally, she tried to stay calm, to tell herself there had to be a mistake. But when she asked Mr. Whitmore's assistant about her pay that week, the woman barely looked up. "Your contract ended, Clara. You should have received notice," she said coldly, sliding an envelope across the counter. Inside was half her usual salary and a letter confirming her termination. That night, Clara didn't sleep. She sat by the small window of her apartment, watching the city lights blur into tears. She'd given them everything, her loyalty, her silence, her dignity, and now they'd taken even her name. Still, she wasn't the kind of woman to give up quietly. The next morning, she went back to the mansion, pretending it was just another day. Her keycard didn't work. The guard at the gate frowned. "You're not on the list anymore, ma'am." But Clara knew another way in, through the side door the staff used. She slipped inside, heart pounding. The house felt colder, emptier. She went straight to the study, desperate to find that document again. The drawer was locked this time. She checked under the desk, behind the books, nothing. Then she heard voices, Mr. Whitmore and another man, talking low. "Don't worry. No one's going to believe her. She's just a maid." Her chest tightened. Just a maid. Those words burned through her like fire. She wanted to step out, to shout, to demand the truth, but she knew better. In that house, her voice meant nothing. She slipped back into the hallway, careful not to make a sound. But just before she reached the back door, she noticed a small security camera blinking red, pointed straight at her. She froze. For a moment, it felt like the camera was breathing, watching, recording. Outside, thunder rumbled over the city. Clara knew she couldn't fight them alone. But she also knew something they didn't. She'd taken a photo of that document before it disappeared. And if what she suspected was true, that single photo could expose more than corruption. It could uncover the truth about how people like her were being erased every day, and someone, somewhere, would make sure she never got the chance to tell it. The rain came down hard that night, drumming against the mansion's glass walls like a warning. Clara stood outside the gate, soaked, gripping her phone, the photo of the forged document glowing faintly on the screen. Her hands shook, but not from the cold. She'd decided she wasn't going to be invisible anymore. She called the local paper first. No answer. Then a lawyer's office. They didn't handle domestic cases. Finally, she posted the photo online with a short message. "This is how they erase us." Minutes later, her phone buzzed nonstop. Messages, calls, reporters. The post had gone viral. But just as hope sparked, headlights swept across the street. A black sedan slowed near her. Two men stepped out, suits soaked, faces hard. "Mrs. Johnson," one of them said, his voice flat. "You need to come with us." Clara took a step back. "Who are you?" "Just here to clear up a misunderstanding." Her chest tightened. Behind them, another car idled. Tinted windows, engine humming. She turned to run, but the gate lights flickered, then went dark. The only sound was the rain and the heavy crunch of shoes behind her. Her phone slipped from her hand, screen cracking against the pavement. Still glowing, and that single image. The proof. The man picked it up, glanced at it, then at her. "You shouldn't have done this, Clara." She met his eyes, trembling but unbroken. "You shouldn't have lied." For a moment, they just stared at each other. Two worlds colliding under a storm neither could stop. Then distant sirens echoed through the night. Someone had seen. Someone was coming. The men retreated to their car, tires hissing on wet pavement. Clara fell to her knees, rain mixing with tears. She didn't know if she'd be safe. She didn't even know if the truth would survive. But somewhere out there, thousands of people were now seeing what she'd seen. And for the first time, the world was finally looking back. The storm passed, but the silence that followed was louder than thunder. By morning, the photo Clara had posted was everywhere. News sites, social media, headlines asking how a woman could be erased from her own life with a single signature. The Whitmores denied everything, of course. Their lawyers called it a misunderstanding. But the world had already seen too much. Clara never returned to that mansion. She moved quietly, staying with a friend while the investigation unfolded. Weeks turned into months. Some called her brave, others called her a liar. But she didn't care about either. All she'd ever wanted was to be seen, not as a servant, not as a name on a payroll, but as a human being. Eventually, a journalist published a full exposé, a network of forged contracts, silent dismissals, and stolen wages, all targeting women who looked like Clara. It wasn't just her story anymore. It was hundreds, thousands. And yet for every headline, there was still a house somewhere with a woman like her, working quietly, unseen, hoping not to disappear next. Clara's life didn't become a fairy tale. Justice came slowly, imperfectly. But something had changed, not just in her, but in the people who heard her story. Because once you've seen how someone can be erased in plain sight, you can't unsee it. Maybe that's where change begins. Not with anger alone, but with awareness, with empathy, with the courage to look at what's uncomfortable and say, "No more." So, when you hear stories like Clara's, when you see someone treated as if they don't exist, remember her. Speak up. Don't scroll past, because silence doesn't protect the innocent. It protects the system that erases them.